I want to tell you 5 of the most challenging things about being self-employed. Hi, I'm Angel. Thanks for stopping by my channel where I aspire to inspire you to always be reaching for your greatest, most playful self. And I've been self-employed most of my life, and sometimes feeling pretty successful at it, and other times not so much. So I can speak to the challenges of being self-employed pretty well. And today, my top 5 are, number 1 is, it's lonely. It can be lonely. It's hard to find people who understand you. You have to put in long hours. You have to go in earlier, start earlier, stay later, give up weekends. And just there's hardly anybody who really understands other self-employed people, which I'm grateful that I know a couple that I can converse with sometimes, commiserate with or celebrate with, both. But in general, it's it's a lonely lot to be an entrepreneur, to be the boss, to be self-employed, because it just seems like you end up spending more time on your own. That's probably just purely due to, actually, I've listened to a lot of entrepreneurs, and some of whom employ many, hundreds or thousands of people, but still talk about how it can be lonely. It's lonely at the top. There's, it's a saying. So it's lonely at the top and it's lonely at the bottom. It's just a little lonely when you work for yourself. And that's related to number 2 top challenge of being self-employed is there's nobody to blame. There's nobody else to pass the buck on to, nobody else to complain about how you can't complain about. Sometimes I jokingly complain about my boss, what a hard ass she is because she's me, or what a pushover she is because she's me. But I think a lot of people who are employees of other people are in the habit, for better and worse, of commiserating with each other, blaming coworkers and bosses for things that go wrong. And when you're the boss, you ain't got nobody else to blame but yourself. So that can be hard, challenging. Number 3 challenge to being self-employed for me right now is finances aren't always secure. Sometimes they're great, like there's no cap to it. You're not just getting the one salary. You can always do better and make more, but also you might do worse and make less. And there's no guaranteed income, which is of course just kind of an illusion anyway if you're working for somebody else, because something could happen to their business. You might have to go get a different job. But still, when you're working for somebody else, you're working for by the hour. You pretty much, barring unforeseen circumstances, know what you're going to get. Whereas when you're working for yourself, that's not so much the case. You might do really well, you might not do as well, and it's kind of all on you and a bunch of other, not just you, because there's a lot of factors you can't control. The market, there's a lot of factors you can't control, so income is uncertain for the most part. Number 4, most challenging thing about being an entrepreneur, working for yourself right now, for me, is there's no sick days. There's nobody to cover you. Nobody else is the boss. So you can build a team, which I'm working on rebuilding, that can help cover any number of aspects of what you do. But the thing about being a boss is that you're the boss. So nobody else can step in and be the boss unless you totally give that up, sell your business or whatever. But as long as you're working for yourself and you're the entrepreneur, you're the boss, then you don't get sick days, you don't get paid vacation. You can take a vacation, you can take a sick day, but you don't get paid sick days or paid vacation from some other, from a different company or somebody else. And there's no oh, I just won't come in today and so will cover my shift. It's a huge juggle if you can't make it in when you're the boss, when you're working for yourself. Number 5, most challenging thing about being self-employed and working for yourself, being an entrepreneur, for me right now, is I had this all sorted out in my brain. Let's see if it comes to me. waiting for it. Give me a minute. Hang on. Oh yeah, I remember. It's legitimacy, credibility. Sometimes it's literally hard to get credit from a bank. When you're self-employed, there's an element of unknown, an element of uncredibility. Now, when you're really successful and you're employing a lot of people and you've made a name for yourself, then probably that's no longer an issue. But for me, still kind of struggling, still not. I've been on top of it. Now I'm not on top of it right now. I'm still struggling, but I haven't given up because I'm just a lifelong entrepreneur. I can't really fathom being any other way. But friends and family and banks and, other people out there, society doesn't always give being self-employed the same credit as being an employee. Now, sometimes you get more credit, again, when you're really successful, when you're employing a lot of people. But if you're just kind of scraping by, as you might be if you're working for somebody else, but you're working for yourself, people tend to go like, well, why don't you just go get a job, even if you're working like twice as much as somebody who has a job. And working for yourself is certainly more than one job. It's a whole lot of jobs, but it doesn't get credit societally a lot of times. That's kind of changed in the last 10 years. Entrepreneurship has taken on this whole kind of popular wave, phase, craze, which is kind of mind-blowing to me because I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and up until recently, maybe it was like 10 or 15 years ago when I went to business school that I even learned the word entrepreneur and learned that that's what I was. Before that, I was just self-employed, working for myself, and certainly my friends and especially my family never really considered me a regular working person. There's always kind of this stigma to being a self-employed person, like you're not really legitimate, you're not really fully participating in the regular way like most people are, the everyday workers, which I've been, by the way, and I'm not trying to put down. Right now I'm driving home from working for hourly wages, and I'm grateful for the work because I have to fill in, but I'm still also working for myself and still also working to revamp my business back up to, the state where I don't have to work for other people again. And that's been an ebb and flow in my particular experience off and on since I started working, really, since I was a kid, since I was selling rocks on the side of the road at 8 years old. Yeah, I did that. And zucchinis door to door at 10. Yeah, I did that. I've always been an entrepreneur, so it's just part of the fabric of who I am, and I don't expect that to go away. And I'm grateful that society has given it a little more legitimacy lately, and I'm grateful that I myself am more secure in knowing who I am, more clear that that's part of my fabric, and that even when I'm struggling at it, even when I'm not as successful as I have been and I will be, it's still what I want to do, what I'm passionate about, because it gives me it lets me feel like I'm creating my own life instead of living somebody else's life. So anyway, there you have it, my 5 most challenging challenges about being self-employed or an entrepreneur right now. Number 1, let's see if I can remember them. Gosh, my memory is not great today. Number 1 is it's lonely. Number 2 is there's nobody else to blame but yourself. Number 3 is income is not always steady. It can fluctuate, and that can be hard to deal with. Number 4 is there's no sick days, nobody else to cover you when you're the boss. And number 5 is society doesn't always take it seriously or give you the same amount of legitimacy or credibility as they might if you were a regular Joe Schmo, as they call it, working for somebody else. I'd love to know, if you're self-employed, what are your top challenges that you're dealing with right now? And if you're not self-employed, what are your top challenges for working for somebody else? If you care to share, I'd love to know. Please put that in the comments below. As always, I hope you give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and you can find ways to support me, like shopping in my store, buying my books or my music, in the description below. And until next time, I wish you peace, prosperity, positivity, love, lightheartedness, laughter, positive communication, peaceful conflict resolution, and playfulness. Don't forget to drive forward.